how confident are you in this defense's ability to stop the run and play at a high level right away with the difficult schedule you guys have out of the gates?
Pretty confident.
What are some of the players in the box that will be some of those key players that'll be critical to having success against the run?
Yeah, that's I mean, it's a good question. It's a hard question for us to always answer every year, just because it's. I mean, obviously, if you can come away with with pretty stout defense in the run, then you feel good about it. But we don't lose too many guys, at least with experience. We did lose a lot of guys to the NFL, with the front guys that ended up leaving. I feel good about having Batty back. He's playing at a high level right now. But Nice Samahe coming back, Caden Hawes coming back for second years, really come on. Earl, Mariner, Gabe Summers are all guys with a lot of experience. And then Lorenzo Fauteuil, a lot of guys with experience on the inside. And then Uriah Leotawa coming back. We're a little bit younger at the DN spot, but having guys that have really showed up in a good way, like Pepe Tanuwasa and Blake Mangelson's another name. So we feel good about the personnel. We've got a lot of good bodies in there. I think they're understanding the scheme and playing a little bit better. We're playing against what I think is a really good O-line, day in, day out, and so it's making our young guys grow up fast, which we need. But overall, just as a front, feel pretty good about us. It's just it's hard to tell with guys that don't have experience. We have a lot of young guys at the edges that don't have a lot of experience.
A lot of headlines have been given to the quarterback position battle, but on defense, what's maybe the most heated battle that you want to see maybe resolved over the next week?
We've talked about seeing some of those guys that are going to be contributors at the safety spot. Free safety, strong safety. We've got a lot of guys that are rotating through there. Obviously having Chaz and Malik come back with a little bit of experience has been huge for us. But Hayden Livingston, who's had a game experience, Jared Capisi. We've got other guys that are starting to really do a good job. Mitch. Can't see the other one. Criddle's playing. I mean, George Udo's coming off an injury, and we're kind of playing it slow with him, but we anticipate that he's going to be a big contributor for us this year too. Once we confident that he's 100% and going.
Going back to the scrimmage Saturday, we weren't able to talk to you. We talked a little bit to Ed Lamb, but what was your overall assessment of how your defense looked? I know you held some guys out, but were you happy going away from that scrimmage?
Yeah, happy with being able to see a lot of the young guys get reps. There were some question marks on some guys as far as just their ability to tackle in a game situation, and thought that those guys we had question marks on showed up in a good way, and we've got to continue, in the direction that we're going with those guys, where they can continue to be consistent, and next time they have an opportunity to tackle and show in a game situation that they can do the same thing. And so, certainly happy with the way that things went. And obviously, there's always things to improve and things to tighten up, and starting to see the depth really develop now with that first scrimmage at least.
And just follow up, a lot's made of Preston Hadley moving over, helping you with the defensive ends. You just said you're young there. Through 10 days of camp or whatever, are you fairly satisfied with the progress the young defensive ends have made, like Tyler Batty, and you mentioned Pepe and some of the others?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've got a lot of good bodies of guys that we're gonna depend on to play, guys that need to play, and Coach Hadley's done a really good job just taking pride in understanding, learning, putting in the extra time that it takes to develop those guys, and I think he's doing a really good job.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Coach Tuiaki? Mitch, go ahead.
And Coach, just one more here from who are some of the guys behind at linebacker? We know about Thule, Peely, and Wilgar, but who are some of the other guys that are contending to round out maybe that depth chart in a busy locker or linebacker room?
Yeah, besides those three that you mentioned, Ben Bywater had a really good scrimmage. Josh Wilson Josh Wilson and Drew have played in games and are dependable, and we're starting to see Morgan Piper also come up as somebody that's going to contribute. So I think those four additional guys, I don't know if I'm missing anybody else, are the guys that really stuck out in a good way in the scrimmage.
Alex, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned that there's some youth on this defensive squad, and I'm kind of curious, when you're trying to bring along some of the young guys and kind of integrate them with who's returning, depending on skill set and personnel, how much do you tweak a defensive philosophy or defensive play calls, if you will, to kind of just fit the fact that you're adjusting to guys developing in real time?
Yeah, I think the more veteran your group becomes, the more you can carry. When you have younger guys and you feel like you've got the right personnel on the field, then it's really just about making sure that we can eliminate mistakes and play fast. And so it does take a little bit off of what you'd normally call or probably scheme, just for the sake of being sound. I think our young kids are doing a good job picking things up. We've thrown a lot at them in the last, or at least in this fall camp. They've had to pick up a lot, and we installed a lot faster this year than we have in the past. And obviously it comes with its with all its mistakes and everything. But I think that after a couple of weeks, it's been good. They're starting to get it.
Just as a follow-up to something you just said, why have you installed things quicker than in the past?
We do have a core of guys that have played, and so those guys all get it, and so we're putting a lot on those guys to teach the younger guys, and so it puts a lot on the younger guys to try to understand and play all these multiple things that we're doing, and then once we start to pull out some schemes and just kind of focus a little bit more on our first opponent, then they'll be less required of them, and you normally start to see them clean up with their assignments and techniques and all that stuff. So just overload them early, and then start to pull back as we get closer to games.
Your last question, Sean.
Yeah, you touched on Coach Hadley a little bit, moving up to the defensive front with you working with the defensive ends and the hybrids and whatnot. What is it about having a guy specifically over defensive ends like that, and a guy like that who knows kind of the back end of the defense, the safeties and the DBs and such? What is it about having a guy like that over defensive ends that I guess kind of makes your job a little bit easier?
Yeah, it's obviously just with his experience in the back end, he's able to teach the game holistically to the front, and really the front guys they're their own animal. You spend all your time teaching them back end stuff, and sometimes they don't care. There's so much to know at D line. And so really just having an extra guy, having Coach Hadley with me, having somebody who can focus on the techniques and assignments of the ends. You've got a room, for us, we've got a room of 22, 23 guys. That's a lot for one coach to handle, especially if you're coordinating a defense and kind of doing that stuff. And so I've got a lot of help with Coach Hadley, and he's done a really good job with it. Having Coach Lamb and Coach Clune too, just as guys that have been coordinators as well as a head coach. I mean, we've got a lot of experience in our room, and then obviously always leaning on Kalani and his experience as a coordinator is huge for us too. We've got a lot of help helping me.